So another project we've been looking at are looking at foams made of cellulose. So cellulose is obviously the main plant fiber. It's the main fiber in the plant kingdom. And cellulose itself has rather remarkable mechanical properties. It's extremely stiff for a polymer. Its stiffness is about twice the stiffness of aluminum in the crystalline form. And it has a high tensile strength too. Its strength is, in the crystalline form, is similar to many metal alloys. And yet it's much lighter. It's about 1/5 of the density of steel, for example. So the idea is to try to make foams out of cellulose and exploit their good mechanical properties. And to do this, you need to be able to isolate the crystalline part of the cellulose, and this means getting the cellulose fibers at the nanoscale. So I'm actually collaborating with somebody in Sweden who has a process for doing that. He's making, we call them nanofibrillar cellulose foams, and I've been doing mechanical testing and modeling on them. So he's got a process for making these things. We've been getting samples from him. We've done a number of mechanical tests. We've been looking at how the foams deform and how they fail. And what we're looking to do is to try to give him some feedback on how he might improve the microstructure of the foams to improve their mechanical properties further. The main upside is the idea is that this would possibly replace in part synthetic polymer foams that are made from petrochemicals. So most foams are made from petrochemicals. You get things like polyurethane foams, polystyrene foams. And the idea is that if you could replace those with a cellulose-based foam, you'd firstly reduce the use of petrochemicals, and it's a more green solution. You have a renewable material that you could be making the foams from instead of petrochemicals. The nanofibrillar cellulose foams could be used for really any application for which you would use an existing synthetic polymer foam. So it could be energy absorption, say helmets, or padding in the interiors of cars. It could be lightweight cores for structural panels. Really anything that you would use a polymer foam for now, you could use these cellulose foams for. The mechanical properties of the cellulose fibers are much higher than the synthetic polymers that are currently used. The challenge is to design the foam that then exploits those and makes the most advantage of it. So right now the foams don't have as high properties as they potentially could have. And what we've been looking at is how the current foams behave and how you might improve them to improve their mechanical properties beyond what current synthetic polymer foams have. The microstructure of the nanofibrillar cellulose foams right now is somewhat random. They're sort of sheets of material connected by small fibers. You'd like to get something that's more uniform polyhedral cells. You know, if you look at, say, a polyurethane foam, there's some distribution in the cells, but the material is distributed more or less uniformly. And you'd like to get something more like that structure in these cellulose foams. If the structure is not uniform, then you can have zones where there's a low amount of material, a low density, and that's a weak zone, and then that controls the overall properties.